is everyone? Today we're reacting to the worst gooning accidents ever. Let's go.
He had been gooning for several hours using a household vacuum cleaner.
What? You using that vacuum cleaner to beat your shit?
I love how loud he was. That was so hilarious. But I can make him louder. Boo! I meant like a jump scare. Ouch. I got hiccups. Ouch.
The gooners who got
Ow.
The live gooner incident. On October 19th, 2020, Jeffrey Toobin, a 60-year-old legal analyst and longtime staff writer for The New Yorker, logged into a Zoom meeting from his home.
Oh no. Bro, I feel like everyone has seen like an awkward interaction happen in Zoom during those pandemic days. I remember there was this dude who was cursing so much and he didn't know he wasn't muted. Everyone had an awkward interaction on Zoom before. But beating it on a Zoom live at your big age too?
Believing he was participating in a routine internal discussion. The call included colleagues from the magazine and members of a radio program, and it was meant to simulate an election night scenario. Toobin assumed his camera and microphone were off. While the meeting continued for others, Toobin remained on screen.
Look, like it's one thing for you to assume that you never joined or like it just automatically signed you in. Bruh, you're in the middle of a meeting and you'll be in your shit. You can't just wait until the Zoom meeting is...
I have completely abandoned ChatGPT. It just keeps failing me time after time after time, and I can't stand it.
Meeting and you'll be in your shit. You can't just wait until the Zoom meeting is finished.
Wow. Unaware that his video feed was still active, he engaged in gooning, believing...
Can y'all just imagine, like, the speaker? Today on the New York Times, we are going to be incorporating a column about what's happening in Virginia. Yo, are you beating your meat to me?
He was no longer visible. Several participants noticed what was happening in real time. Shocked attendees immediately exited the call. Within hours, the incident was reported internally. Toobin was suspended from The New Yorker pending investigation and placed on leave from CNN, where he frequently appeared as a legal commentator.
Yeah, so when he was working on CNN, was he delivering his news while beating his shit under the table? Imagine getting fired from your job because you couldn't stop gooning. Of all the things you could get fired for, you just over here just doing it.
Days later, he publicly acknowledged the incident, stating it was an embarrassing mistake caused by a misunderstanding of the Zoom interface.
Dude, even if it did turn off and you were muted, why are you doing that? It doesn't even excuse it. What type of excuse is that? Why are you that down bad during a meeting?
November 2020, The New Yorker terminated his employment after 27 years. CNN later allowed him to return briefly before cutting ties permanently. What had been assumed to be a moment of private downtime during a virtual meeting became a career-ending event, the unlocked door incident. On March 14th, 2019, Daniel Mercer, a 19-year-old college student, was alone in his bedroom in a suburban home in Ohio. His parents were downstairs watching television, and the house was quiet. Daniel believed he had privacy. His door was closed but unlocked. A habit formed from years of shared student was alone in his bedroom in a suburban home in Ohio. His parents were downstairs watching television, and the house was quiet. Daniel believed he had privacy. His door was
I'm
closed
alone.
but
I'm alone now, little one.
unlocked. A habit formed from years of shared family space where knocking was assumed rather than enforced. Late in the evening, while he was busy gooning in his bed, his mother walked in on him to collect laundry. Assuming he was studying or asleep, she opened the door without knocking. The encounter lasted only seconds.
This is the part that I'm so terrified of being a parent. Because I know this is common with kids growing up, but if I walk in on my son and I'm seeing movement in the blanket, I think I might cry.
Daniel froze. His mother immediately looked away and stepped back into the hallway, closing the door behind her without saying a word. In the hours afterward, Daniel remained in his room, overwhelmed by shame and panic. He did not leave to eat or speak. His mother avoided the...
Okay, it's never that deep, my boy. Look, I understand it's awkward, but life goes on. If anything, your mother probably knows it's normal.
hallway outside his room for the rest of the night. In the days that followed, neither acknowledged the incident. According to later accounts shared anonymously by the boy in an online forum, the incident permanently altered the emotional dynamic in the household.
Okay, no, that is way too deep. Yes, your down bad ass can't get no play. You a 19-year-old, you don't got no girl. You probably look like a loser to your mom, but that's it. That's all it should be. What, now she's not gonna be invited to your wedding because she saw you beat your shit? It's not that deep, man.
He described intense embarrassment, anxiety, and avoidance that lasted for years, despite no further mention of the event by either party. The Toronto serial...
Bro, he was probably beating his shit in a crazy manner. He probably had one leg up, butt cheek showing, bop, bop, bop. She was probably there for like 2 minutes and he had no clue. Because how are you that embarrassed? The Toronto serial gooner. They have a name for you?
Gooner attacker. On multiple mornings throughout 2017, a series of women in downtown Toronto reported a disturbing pattern to police. The incidents occurred in busy public areas, near transit stations, sidewalks, and commercial buildings, often during rush hour. In each case, a man approached from behind, goon and nut on their body.
This got to be the worst animation I've ever seen. Yeah, this is crazy. I don't know how you get a thrill from finishing on random girls and then running like you did nothing wrong. I don't understand how down bad you have to be. Like, what level of down badness makes you think, you know what, let me do this for pleasure?
Without physical contact and fled the scene before victims could react. After several reports were filed, Toronto police began reviewing surveillance footage and witness description. The suspect was identified as 20-year-old Indian man living in the city. Police alleged that he deliberately targeted strangers in public spaces, choosing crowded environments where he could disappear quickly. Later that year, the man was arrested and charged with multiple counts of sexual assault.
Imagine your family finding out that their son or, I don't know, sibling went to jail, and the reason why he went to jail is because he couldn't stop finishing on strangers. That's all you ever became in life.
Investigators stated that the acts were intentional and non-consensual, and that the absence of physical touching did not lessen the severity of the crime. During court proceedings, prosecutors emphasized the psychological harm inflicted on victims and the repeated nature of the behavior. He was
Bruh, imagine being one of the victims in this situation. A random friend coming up to them like, oh, wait, did a bird poop on you? Like, no, why? And then they look down and they're like, hold on, I don't think that's bird poop. Like, I'm trying to think, what would my reaction be to seeing bust on my pants, gang? Imagine seeing literal nut on your sweater. Bro, I'm gonna freak out. That shit is weird.
Ultimately convicted and sentenced under Canadian criminal law. The birthday incident. On May 3rd, 2022.
It's me for your birthday. Look good on your birthday. She the birthday.
A 26-year-old man named Anurag P. was alone in his bedroom at his family's apartment in Chiang Mai, Thailand. It was his birthday. Believing he had privacy for the afternoon, Anurag closed his door but did not lock it. Wearing headphones, he was unaware of activity outside his room. As the afternoon passed, Anurag remained absorbed in his behavior, looking for the right video.
Yo, I'm sorry. What is this thumbnail, bro? What is this title?
To goon to on the hub. Unknown to him, his parents, relatives, and several close friends had gathered in the living room to prepare a surprise celebration.
No, in front of everyone. That is the worst way to get caught, bruh. I hope they didn't invite the little kids in.
Been lit with candles. Someone began recording on a phone. At approximately 6:40 p.m., the group moved down the hallway toward his room. Without knocking, his aunt opened the door. The group immediately began.
Bro, here's the thing. There's certain times where you just cannot be down bad, right? And one of them being when there's a whole family gathering, especially if it's for your birthday, of all events. Didn't this incident actually go viral, if I'm not mistaken? I swear I remember something like this.
Singing happy birthday in unison. The singing continued for several seconds before anyone registered what they were seeing. Anurag froze in place. The room fell into confusion.
No, you gotta pick up your pants immediately, bruh.
As some family members turned away, while others stood silently. His mother quickly closed the door and told everyone to return to the living room. The recording ended abruptly and the celebration was canceled. That evening, Anurag did not leave his room.
Okay, you see, like, y'all are doing the most. How old is he? Like, he's in his 20s too? Y'all gonna cancel the celebrations? Now, obviously, I know some of the kids might be traumatized or it's better to drop them off home, but it's not that deep.
Following morning, Anurag was found deceased in his bedroom.
Wow. R.I.P. What? Dude, it was never that deep, bro.
He committed?
How terrible did they shame him for him to think that that was okay?
Emergency services were contacted, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. The death was ruled a suicide. No note was released publicly. The vacuum incident. On August 16th, 2016, a 67-year-old man was alone in his apartment in the United States. He had been gooning for several hours using a household vacuum cleaner.
What? You using
What?
a vacuum cleaner to beat your shit? Just when I thought I seen it all.
His apartment in the United States in a way he believed was safe. As he continued, the suction from the vacuum became stronger than he expected. His dick got stuck in the vacuum and...
It was cool when your ass did it with, stickman figures, but now you actually just drawing penises, bro. What's up?
Swelling quickly developed, making it impossible to pull free. Pain escalated as circulation was blocked. He panicked, but embarrassment delayed his decision to call for help, leaving him trapped in the grip of his gooning. By the time he contacted emergency services, the swelling had become severe. By the time he arrived at the hospital, the trapped tissue showed signs of necrosis, meaning it could not recover even if circulation was restored. Doctors determined that attempting to save the affected groin tissue would place the patient at risk of life-threatening infection and sepsis. At that stage, his dick has to be cut off. The man was sedated and he survived. In his state...
Wait, you said the man survived? Nah, after that, he entered his second stage of life. Oh, he different. Could you imagine just checking into the hospital and they're like, yo, what seems to be the issue? And you got a vacuum cleaner attached to your meat? Imagine how strange it is for the people that pick you up and seeing all those patients around you and they're seeing a vacuum cleaner stuck to your penis.
My friend put me on to Fetch. It's this app that earns you gift
That's
cards on,
fucking
well,
crazy, by the way.
basically everything. Groceries, restaurants, even the games you play on your
Sorry, I had to drink my water real quick.
All those patients around you and they're seeing a vacuum cleaner stuck to your penis.
Statement to clinicians, he acknowledged that he had been gooning and had not understood how dangerous household suction devices could be. The case was recorded anonymously in medical literature as a preventable accident, the Enum Claw incident.
I'm not liking this. I don't like the animation that it came with, and I'm not liking the name of this incident.
July 2nd, 2005, a 45-year-old Boeing engineer
What in the world are you gonna do with that? What in the world are you gonna do with that?
named Kenneth
He's gonna shove it up his ass, obviously.
Pinion took his own gooning to another level. He visited a rural farm in Enumclaw, Washington, specifically to engage in sexual activity with a stallion. He
I'm telling y'all, bro, it's the bronies, bro. His favorite show is My Little Pony. I know this for a fact.
was accompanied by a friend, James Michael.
Yo, this gotta be top 5 ugliest mugshots. Yo, what the hell happened to bro's chin? On top of all of that, he looks like a product of horse semen. Let's just be real.
Haight, who was recording the encounter on a digital camera. As the evening progressed, Pinion engaged in a sexual act with a horse
Apparently, bro was the one taking the dick.
that resulted in him suffering a perforated colon. A perforated colon is a hole or tear in the large intestine wall, a life-threatening medical emergency where stool leaks into the abdomen, causing severe infection and potentially fatal sepsis.
Bro, how freaked out do you gotta be to be throwing it back on a horse, gang? You know how much infections that dick probably got?
Pinion did not initially realize the life-threatening nature of his injury. He and Tate spent some time watching the footage they had recorded before Pinion's condition rapidly deteriorated. At approximately 9:30 p.m., after Pinion began to experience extreme pain and went into shock, his companions drove him to the Enumclaw Community Memorial Hospital. They dropped him off at the emergency room entrance.
Bro, imagine being the doctor and you're like, what brings you here today? What happened? And your homie gotta disclose the news that a horse piped your ass. Literally, piped your ass. I'm gonna be like, nigga, this is my first day on the job. This is not what I went to school for, bro.
And fled the scene. Hospital staff attempted to resuscitate Pinion, but he was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. The following morning, an autopsy confirmed that Pinion had died from acute peritonitis caused by the internal rupture. The driveway gooner incident. On May 14th,
That's crazy.
2025,
We know this.
an 18-year-old high school student shared a harrowing account on Reddit regarding a catastrophic failure of Bluetooth proximity settings. Late in the evening, while in the privacy of his bedroom with his door locked and noise-canceling earbuds firmly in place, he began watching explicit adult content on his smartphone. Unbeknownst to him, his father had recently parked the family's SUV in the driveway directly beneath his bedroom window, leaving the electronics inaccessible.
This was always my biggest fear. Y'all know how sometimes when you try to connect whatever you're watching to through the headphones, but when you click that Bluetooth, it has like a bunch of options. The thought of misclicking and sharing the audio or video to something else, scary.
Mode. As the teenager adjusted his phone's volume to the maximum setting, the device's auto-connect feature bypassed his earbuds and paired with the vehicle's high-fidelity sensors. The graphic audio from the video did not play in his ears, but instead blasted at full volume through the car's speakers. At that exact moment, his older sister was sitting in the driver's seat, having just entered the vehicle to run a late-night errand. Startled by the sudden eruption of explicit audio, she initially believed the car's infotainment system had been hacked, or a prank was being played. The teenager, realizing his earbuds were silent despite the volume bar being full, looked out his window to see his sister staring at the dashboard in horror before frantically turning off the ignition. The incident resulted in an immediate and deeply uncomfortable family confrontation.
What?
Opportunist.
Okay, so long as no one hurts themselves is cool. If anything, bro, I feel like I'd look at some shit like that and I'd laugh, you know? I'd be like, oh, you dumbass. I feel like people gotta stop stigmatizing beating your shit. I don't think you should be doing it, and I definitely think you should be more private with it, but it's not like, oh my god, look at this evil ass nigga. You know, some people are just trying to just get some shit off.
Gooner incident. On August 15th, 2023, San Diego police officer
Right.
Anthony Hare arrested a woman on a bench warrant and began a standard transport to the Las Colinas Women's Detention Facility. During the drive, body camera footage captured a sexually suggestive conversation of the woman telling Hare she's down to fuck right now. As they approached the facility at a...
How much of y'all would fold? I'm not folding. First, you're just gonna be disgraced. I don't think so.
Approximately 1:33 a.m., Hare diverted his patrol cruiser onto a dark side street, turned off his headlights, and deactivated his body-worn camera. Unbeknownst to him at the time, entering the rear passenger compartment to be with the detainee would trigger the vehicle's automatic safety locks. Hare inadvertently locked himself inside the caged rear cabin with the woman, becoming trapped for over an hour. Panic-stricken and unable to open the doors from the inside, he was eventually forced to call a fellow officer for assistance, initially claiming he was checking the woman's pulse during a medical emergency. A supervisor arrived at 2:40 a.m. to extricate a visibly embarrassed Hare from the vehicle. Investigators found that Hare
How do you lock yourself in? Okay, do y'all think if he never locked himself in from the back, nobody would know? Sadly enough, that might have been a thing. There was a chance he might have not got caught.
had falsely notified dispatch of his arrival at the detention center and discovered traces of semen on his duty belt.
Kept seeing people talk about these free phones from AirTalk, so I gave it a try, and they really
Traces of semen on his duty belt. Hare resigned on September 14th, 2023, just one day before a scheduled interview with Internal Affairs. By July 2024, his peace officer certification was officially revoked by the California Peace Officer Standards Accountability Board. The incorrigible gooner.
Yo, they goon so hard, their eyes were looking different directions. One eye was on the lookout to see if anybody was going to catch him, and the other eye was stuck on the video itself. Are these twins? No, he's the same dude. He just has longer hair.
In 2006, Dennis James Davidson, a then 29-year-old man, began a series of public gooning that eventually led to his branding as an incorrigible masturbator by the Oregon court system.
So he got arrested and he came back out and he still did this shit?
His first recorded incident occurred while he was living with his grandmother. A neighbor witnessed him standing on another neighbor's porch, gooning. When confronted by the witness, Davidson thrust his hips toward...
Yo, it's not funny, it's actually lame as hell, but I can just imagine police officers yelling at him, "Hey, hands behind your back," and he's just approaching them like, "Watch out. Don't make me release it on you."
her and shouted, "You want some of this?" Before police arrived and found items in his backpack, including lubricant and a note expressing a frustrating crush on the woman whose porch he had occupied. Just weeks later, Davidson was caught gooning again on an elementary school playground.
What?
Yeah, arrest this nigga forever. Arrest this nigga forever. Lock the gates. Don't let him come out. What? That's crazy.
Full view of 3 children and several school staff members, resulting in his first significant prison term. Upon his release in
Yo, can you imagine sharing the same cell with this guy? That has to be hell.
2008, he was arrested again within 4 months for gooning in a strip mall parking lot in front of 3 women and a toddler. This matter reached a peak in 2011 when, only 4 days after being released from prison for his previous crimes, he was spotted behind a tree at a Salem park gooning while watching a family on a picnic. Due to his extent
Yo, what is wrong with this dude? For real, what's wrong with him?
history of recidivism, a lower court initially sentenced him to life in prison under Oregon's true life sentencing laws for repeat sex offenders.
You could get life in prison for gooning. Please remember that, alright? Stop being a weird gooner. Let me know what y'all thoughts are. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, catch the streams, check out the other channels. Blackster for life. Love y'all.
Officer Brown pulls out her...
Sorry. Well, hopefully y'all enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you like. Anyways, that being said, stay happy, healthy, stay beautiful, stay safe. Most importantly, stay safe. See y'all in the video. Love y'all and pass!